Coleman in the house.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
So good to see you.
Thank you, thank you.
This place is amazing.
Thank you. Welcome to the penthouse. And you're the next guest on the Entrepreneur Show.
I'm so honored to be here. I'm excited. Let's do it.
All right. Hi, and welcome once again to the Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, John Spencer Ellis, and with me is Jill Coleman. What's happening?
Not much. Pumped to be here.
I'm excited you're here as well. We have something in common that we both started in the fitness industry. We still love the fitness industry.
Yes.
Still very involved in the fitness industry, but we've evolved.
Yes.
And now we're entrepreneurs.
Yes. Very different. Two very different things.
So let's go back. What did you start doing in the fitness industry? Where did you take that part of your career?
Yeah, so I was one of those lucky people who just loved fitness growing up. So for me, it was always just from the time I was 16, I was working in gyms, personal training, went to school for exercise science, went and got an advanced degree in nutrition. And my fitness journey was around competitions and doing fitness modeling. And so basically for about 10 years, I was chasing magazine covers, I was trying to get tear sheets, I was trying to win competitions, trying to go pro, and I was working in gyms 70 to 80 hours a week. And so I got to a point where, as a lot of trainers do, we get burned out. And so at that point, a lot of my pursuits in fitness were around ego. Do I look good? Am I shredded? Do my clients covet my body? How many clients can I get? And I was constantly in fear that they were going to leave. I was constantly in fear that they were going to, I was charging too much and I was living in scarcity. And it wasn't until I started my business at Jill Fit online that I started really changing things and moving into the entrepreneurial space.
Wow. And I have known, and we've been friends for a while now, but I've known of your work for years, and I know a lot of ladies in the fitness space who had aspired to be and do what you have done. And so as your friend, that's neat for me to hear people say, oh, I want to be like Jill, I want to do it. So that's pretty cool. How does that make you feel now as compared to what it did when you were a competitor?
Yeah, so when I first started, I really just started Jill Fit as a blog, and I didn't know how to make money. For me, I started just more for fun than for anything. I didn't know how to monetize it. I didn't know anything about advertising. I didn't know anything about social media. At that point, it was MySpace. So dating myself a little bit. And at that point, we didn't really know how to use social media. So, you remember, you just put all of your great modeling photos up on MySpace and you hope to get some likes. And for me, most of my likes were coming from men and people who were not my audience, and they weren't my customers. And so we're kind of stumbling through trying to figure that out. And so when I started Jill Fit as a business, I really took on the role of businesswoman versus fitness model, fitness competitor, personal trainer. I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this thing for real, I have to understand business, which is a whole different skill set than fitness and nutrition. And I wasn't really ready for that. It took me about 18 months to fully make that transition into okay, I guess I'm a businesswoman now, not just a trainer.
So when you transitioned from, people say brick and mortar, but basically being a live trainer in person in the gym or traveling to someone's home or whatever, to going online, if someone wants to do that route, and a lot of people do right now, what's the one thing they have to overcome?
Wow, such a great question. So this is mainly what I do at Jill Fit now is probably I would say 3/4 of my income is business coaching and business, fitness business stuff. So the last third is direct to consumer fitness, nutrition, digital products. And I work with a lot of beginners, a lot of people who are exhausted by working in the gym, personal trainers, health coaches, and they are doing all time for money. And you know that there's always a ceiling to how many clients you can take on, and you're living in scarcity all the time. You go on vacation, you don't get paid. If your client moves away, you don't get paid. And you're constantly feeling as though you need to work more hours. And it wasn't until I actually read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, as many people do. And I remember reading that book and going, there's no way this could work for me. I remember just being he doesn't get it, right? He's not a personal trainer. He doesn't understand the gym industry. And so at that point, I started just implementing really small changes. I started doing group training instead of one-on-one training. I cut my sessions down from 60 minutes to 30 minutes, and I doubled my prices. And that was really scary for me.
You did all that at once?
I did it over a course of about a year. And
but that's still a pretty short window to do all those changes.
Wow. Yeah, and I was just you know what? I need a couple of afternoons off because, split shift, it just crushes you. Yeah, it crushes your creativity. So I was you know what? I'm going to take a couple afternoons off and use that to create content for the internet. And that was a huge game changer. And at that point, the stuff that I was creating, my blogs, my digital product, my e-courses, ebooks, things like that started really leveraging, where I didn't have to fight tooth and nail for every single dollar.
I'm just thinking about when, I started out as a personal trainer as well, and I was training as many as 70 to 80 sessions a week, which
Crazy.
it's insanity. Yep. I was so exhausted. I'd get about a 2.5 hour window in the middle of the day, which we all do, because that's when...
And you just want to go home and look at the wall or something.
I had to take a nap every day, because I started, my first session was at 5 in the morning, and then I'd finish at 8 or 9 at night. I was just so wiped out, I couldn't see straight. But I don't know, because you were a fitness competitor, so it was different, but for me, during that time, my fitness faltered.
Oh, really?
Because I was so sick of the gym. I'm just like, what can I do to get a really good pump in like 4 sets and then get out and go home?
I think people go one of two ways. I was living at the gym, and if I had 30 minutes between clients, I was like, I guess I'll do the elliptical, or I guess I'll, weight train for 30 minutes. And so for me, I was still in that super body obsessed space, obsessed with food. And when you're in that place, you don't have a lot of mental energy for creativity. So the idea of getting home at 8 o'clock at night and trying to write a blog was just, it was like all I could do was just watch television and pass out.
I've heard you and your friend Danny say on many different occasions how you guys actually enjoy life more now.
Oh, sure.
You guys you're both still super fit and strong and all that stuff. You look great. But you're not as crazy fanatical as you were, and maybe not quite as lean and all that stuff, but none of that really matters, does it?
It's such a great question. So you asked me earlier about what's the first thing that people can do to get out of the gym, and I really think it's a lot of mindset shifts. It's not really tactical stuff at that point. Sure, there's plenty of steps and tools and strategies we can talk about, but really the first 6 months, I would say, you're overcoming so many mindset obstacles like self-doubt, imposter syndrome, needing to be shredded all the time in order to feel credible. And so for me and my clients, I try to get them to what I call automate their physique, where they just don't have to spend all that much time or mental energy on maintaining their physique.
I've never heard that phrase. That's brilliant. That's okay.
We need time and energy to be able to create, which is such a different way of working than being in the gym and grinding it out. So,
but you seem healthier now. You seem happier now. And people say, well, I just want balance. Do you feel? I mean, sometimes I know it ebbs and flows. There's no, it's far from perfect. Are you pleased with how things are now?
Absolutely, but it took a long time. I think a lot of times people want to get to the results so fast, and you know this. I mean, I look at building your online business or building your business the same way as I do building a body, right? So you can't just go, okay, I want to do this, lose 30 pounds in 30 days and expect to keep it off. Same thing with business. You're not going to make your first 6 figures in 2 months. You know what I mean? Like for someone who's just getting started. And so I think that you have to go, okay, what's the practice here? And then slowly over time, it took me about 3 years actually to go from this super obsessed, type A personality to being able to eat what I call moderation 365, which is I can be here, I can travel, I can go to events, and I don't feel like I, need to be on a diet, and I definitely don't pig out either. I just have this very neutral relationship with food and exercise.
Well, and also, we're friends on social media as well, and I'm learning from you and what you're doing as you go along. Obviously, strength training is very important. Women, especially, do strength training for numerous reasons, and I mean, it's endless. A completely different show, but obviously that's critical. But I see you also having fun, going hiking. Totally. And just kind of experience.
Drinking a glass of wine.
Yeah, you're a big wine connoisseur.
I'm more like a wino, not a wine connoisseur. Yeah.
So basically, that's less technical. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's not quite as educated, but I mean, I really do. So you mentioned Danny J, DannyJ.com is my co-host for our podcast called The Best Life, and the reason why we call it that is because we do really strive for balance. Yes, we want to make money. Yes, we want to impact a lot of people. Yes, we want to, really have a business where we can travel and do those things. But I also want to enjoy life. I want to have deep connections. I want to, connect with family. I want to be able to drink wine and not freak out. And I think that it takes time to be able to create all that.
So how soon you took you a year basically to kind of transition your business.
Yep.
How long did it take you to go from I'm a fanatical fitness competitor where everyone is a little bit eccentric and on edge all the time. It's all the time. I'm counting calories. I'm weighing myself 4 times a day and all that stuff. And I get it. I understand. That's the game. You got to play. Yep. So how long did it take to go from that person to the person who's still super fit, very strong, works out basically almost every day, right? Still, and yet you can have a glass of really good cab and you're good. It doesn't matter.
You know, I think totally. It is a practice, but I think a lot of it again comes down to a mindset shift of like literally going, I'll tell you what happened for me. When I started my business online as a blog at JillFit, I started impacting other people's lives, and I was like, oh, it's not all about me anymore. It can't be all about me. I have people who are showing up who need value, who need solutions to the things they're struggling with. And so when I started deriving a sense of self-worth from helping other people, I stopped focusing so much on needing to have a six-pack and needing to look a certain way and getting a magazine cover. For me, my self-worth just shifted to like, how can I impact as many people as possible? How can I build this business so that I can reach so many more people all over the world? And at that point, I was like, you know what, this is fine.
That's a metaphor for life, I think.
Yeah, I think it is. And you have to look at yourself and go like, where am I deriving that sense of self-worth? I think for me anyway, for a long time, I didn't even think about it. I just like was obsessed with my body and I didn't know why.
But this is so, I mean, again, this is, we're gonna dive a little deeper in this in the next segment, but coming from the fitness industry as we have and so deep in the trenches of it from, every imaginable perspective, especially from the aesthetic part of fitness, not necessarily always sports performance, but you have to be self-focused because that's the only way that you can be a champion. That's just the way it works. But you also forgo friends, fun, chocolate, something like that.
Yeah, and if I'm honest, I liked that I did. There was a point at which I really derived a sense of like almost self-righteousness because I was like, look at all these people eating chocolate. And now I'm like, look at those people not eating chocolate. You know what I mean? It's a totally different mindset shift. But yeah, I think I really like the fact that I saw myself as dedicated, more hardcore than other people. And that's like kind of embarrassing to admit.
But it's good that you're able to do it. And I think, and I've gone through those incarnations of myself as well. And for me personally, it's that vanity metric that we talk about, how many people like this and that and all that stuff.
Yep.
It's for me personally is when I started doing a lot of TV and I was on the Real Housewives show and I was on covers of magazines. I remember years ago, I don't even know how it happened, but I ended up in 3 magazines at the same time. And I went on a date, and I was such an idiot that I took my date to Borders Books. Yeah, that was that long ago. There was a Borders bookstore. And then we walked by the magazine, and I'm like, oh yeah, by the way. And like, what an idiot. I can't believe I did that.
You have to.
Oh yeah, it was so tacky. It was so tacky, but
she was impressed, right?
I don't even know if there's a second date. I can't even remember. You know what? I think I totally screwed that one up. But I'm just telling you, that's how we can go awry because of seeking something when we don't have the perspective of adding value to other people's lives. And I went through that phase. It sounded like you did it as well. And a lot of us do until you have that switch. And then your life just feels better.
Yeah, when people ask me, how can you make that shift? Honestly, it is about having a different interest outside of your body. So even if you don't want to start a business, it can be even just starting a blog for fun, taking up a new hobby, taking a class, learning a new skill, a new language, learning a new instrument. You just need a different focus. And it can't just be about, do I look good? And a lot of people don't even have the awareness that they're doing that. And so it is a practice.
Yeah. Good talk. And that ends the first segment. We're going to take a very brief commercial break. Go nowhere because we're going to talk about women's entrepreneurship when we come back. Woo! Stay with us. Hi, my name is John Spencer Ellis, and I want to help you reach all of your personal, professional, physical, and financial goals. You have greatness within you, and sometimes you just need a coach, a trainer, and a mentor to help you realize your full potential. Since the age of 12, I have immersed myself in the study and practice of maximizing human potential, physically, mentally, personally, professionally, and financially. I believe you and I have so much to offer, to experience, and to give to the world. It's time for you to step into your brilliance and shine like you're supposed to right now. I invite you to learn how I can help you reach your goals and dreams. Thanks for your time. All right, welcome back to the Entrepreneur Show. I'm John Spencer Ellis, and that's Jill Coleman. So in this segment, we are going to talk about women's entrepreneurship.
Love it.
it's my observation, I could be wrong, but it's my observation that more and more women are becoming entrepreneurs, and I think it's really awesome.
It's amazing. I actually, like 85% of my audience is women, so to me it always feels like there are women who are trying to be entrepreneurs, which I love.
So, what is the biggest challenge that women entrepreneurs face? I'm generalizing.
Yeah, you know, it's such a hard question to answer because I've actually not worked with a lot of men, so I really can't contrast it. I can just give you, from my perspective, this challenge that I do see from the women that come to me. I work with a lot of beginners, maybe women who this is going to be a second career of theirs, or like kind of new to the space, personal trainers who want to build the online version of their business. And the biggest challenges I see is self-doubt, probably. And if I had to say, that would maybe be a little bit different than a man, because we don't really have the male ego as much.
Well, yeah, the guys may not have the self-doubt, but there's times when they should doubt things that they don't. That's the difference.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's, for women, we constantly second guess. We go, do I have the right credentials? Do I look the part? Am I going to get called out? I think there's a lot of fear around maybe not getting called out in the industry, especially online with haters and trolls and things like that. I know it's
that
funny,
keeps
right?
coming. Every show we do, that topic keeps coming up because it's so terrible. And I'm gonna make another blanket statement. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. Far too often, the guys think they look and do better than they actually do, and far too often the women don't give themselves the credit they deserve.
I think so. Yes. I mean, I do. I think I do agree with that because I work with women who are trying to build a personal brand. Mm-hmm. So their face, their voice, their messages are out in front. And I think a lot of times we maybe get into fitness because we maybe had an insecurity at some point about our bodies. So now all of a sudden we're having to do Facebook Live, Instagram Live, video, YouTube, and we're like, oh my God, do I look the part? Am I fit enough? Am I shredded enough? Look at my arm in that video. So there's a lot of those kind of things that maybe men don't ask themselves quite as much.
I don't know if they don't ask themselves, but they just go, nah.
Yes.
Maybe they should care more at certain times and don't. But there's a lot of guys who know how to use 97 filters before they post a picture as well. Let me ask you something, because I believe I heard Marie Forleo say this. Yep, and yeah, she's a smart lady. And she said something to the effect of, when she does a raw video that's less produced, maybe the lighting isn't as forgiving, and it's kind of revealing, she does much better with those, rather than the ones where you're like, they have their filter recipe all figured out, and they just went, and then you're like, pop, I saw one lady who had, she forgot that she had one photo in her newsfeed of the same picture before she added all the filters, and then she added the second one right above it afterwards, and it looked like a different person.
Yeah, I do. I think that there's something to what Marie said. So there's a couple things going on. Number one, I think our audiences they can sniff out BS way faster than they ever could. And so I think people are a little bit more suspicious of super highly produced content all the time. It feels really almost like gimmicky in a sense. That's why things like live streaming is really popular at this point. Snapchat, where it's just literally like seeing someone in real time. Sure, there's a filter and things like that, but I do think that people appreciate something that is a little bit more raw because it feels more relatable. It feels like this person is actually human. We could be sitting in the living room together and having a conversation. So I think the audience is being able to sniff that stuff out a little bit more. So I think that's great for us, especially for people who don't have a lot of resources getting started. They go, it's free to do Facebook Live. And you feel like you're sitting right there, you have a glass of wine, you're talking to your audience, and it feels a lot more intimate. And the connection, of course, is key. And the second thing is, it's hard because on the flip side of that, Instagram or something like that, which I would consider one of the most powerful platforms at this point, is so visual that photos that are not great are getting zero traction. So because it's so visual. I mean, visual people are scrolling. So things need to stand out more than they ever have. I remember when I first started, like 4 or 5 years ago, you could throw up like something with terrible lighting, and people didn't even know what it was. But people like now it's so hard to get visibility that like if you don't have an image that stands out, it's just gonna die.
So what do you do to make your images stand out? What do you personally do?
I've tried to get better at things like composition. I do like professional photos, but I feel like everyone can get a little bit better at being Instagram photographer at this point. Lighting is key, composition is key. Just like make sure that like it just needs to be way more eye-catching than it ever has before, and people want to see your face. I think that's one of the hardest things too, is we can't just put all photos of like a drink or a salad or a book anymore, right?
It has to be we have to tell a story with it.
People want to see your face. They want to see how you animate. They want to see the energy of you, and that's how people are connecting, because you know this, if people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. If I don't feel connected to you as a personal brand, because so many people are in this space, as a consumer, I can afford the luxury of connecting with someone in such a perfect manner, because there are so many coaches at this point. And so I need to be real. I need to like pull the mask off and let you see exactly who I am, my knowables, my quirks, you know, the things about me, my personality that maybe 5 years ago, I was like, ooh, I don't want to show that I'm drinking a glass of wine. Now it's like, you better show that you're drinking a glass of wine.
I think people, and then I'm going to hallucinate here for a second. Your audience probably says, oh, you know, is that a California variety? Do you prefer whites or reds?
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yep.
Do you like a blend?
Yeah, and then not only that, but now they're tagging me in memes about wine. And that's when I know that like we feel connected. I call these things knowables. So I have my girls, it's kind of a tactical thing, but you know, what are your 3 to 5 things that you're going to strategically play up on the internet? Of course they need to be real. They need to be, they can't be lies. But what are the 3 to 5 things that you're going to, so that people do get to know you? I get tagged in memes about Drake, about, you know, stuff that's not fitness related, not business
But they
related.
know you like Drake.
Totally. And they're like, oh my God, you like him too? And I'm like, yeah. And then they buy a fitness product from me because we both like Drake. It's very strange, but it's really exciting.
Now you know me, what do I use to anchor my lifestyle in my pictures or videos?
Your puppies.
That's right,
Yeah.
2 French Bulldogs.
So maybe you didn't know that, but that would be a noble of yours. I'm like, 2 French Bulldogs.
Yeah, and that's something, well, first of all, they're so darn cute that you have to love them. And if you don't love dogs, come on now.
Yeah.
Unless you had a childhood traumatic experience and you didn't work through it, I get it. But other than that, you got to love dogs, right?
Exactly.
You got to do that. But sometimes I'll meet people at a conference and they say, "How are Lily and Lucy?"
Right.
Before they do it, or like when you came in,
I was like, "Where are the puppies?"
Yeah, where are the puppies?
Yep. That's something I know about you through social media, you know, and so there's a way for us as, you know, getting started, that we can start doing those really more personal touches to connect with the audience first. Because people, you know, you can get information anywhere. Workouts, recipes, you know, fitness tips, that's commodity content. I want to know that we connect first before, and then like 85% of the time, I'm not talking about fitness. 15% of the time, I'm selling fitness. 85% of the time, I'm not even talking about it, but people will buy because we connected on Drake or wine or my dog or whatever.
One of my other guests on the show, Keith Yackey, we had many mutual friends, and we said, hey, we got to get together. And then finally we did. We were at the north end of the strip here, and we literally ate through like a few $100s of sushi. It was crazy. But we didn't talk. We went there to have a business meeting, and we never talked about business. We talked about the UFC.
Yeah.
For the whole time, and then we said, and then he says, next time we're to get together, we got to talk about business.
Right.
But that's how.
But you guys met on the internet.
And we were introduced by a mutual friend, Michael O'Neill, who hosts the Solopreneur Hour, and then Michael was the MC of his event Amplify that he had here in Vegas, and it's one of those things where you have to figure out what's the commonality.
Totally.
And a lot of times people say, like, do people do this to you? Like, right when they meet you the first time, they're like, Jill, I have this idea. And you're like, whoa.
Right. We don't even know if we're friends yet.
I don't even know your name.
Right. We don't know if we're friends yet. And this is the cool thing about even just connecting with an audience, but also connecting with a peer or connecting with someone in a networking capacity. It's okay to not get along with everyone in your industry. Like, you don't have to be best friends. You know what I mean? It's not that you don't respect the person's work, but personality-wise, you know, maybe you'll only get along with these people, and these people you don't have to feel like because this person is, you know, someone to know. That was old school to me. That was like 10 years ago. You felt like you had to be friends with people who had a bigger platform than you. And now it's just like, hey, do we get along as people?
I was just thinking about something, two things that are funny. It was at the Thrive event a couple years ago in Vegas. And one incident was with Robert Herjavec, and the other one was Gary Vee. And someone finally got to the microphone. You know, they take turns. Can I ask you a question? Hey, Gary, can I give you my business card? And he goes, yeah, but I'm going to throw it away. You know, that sounds like Gary, right?
Right.
But he was being honest, and it's because you don't. You know, that's not the way you do it.
Connect,
And then another guy literally rushed the stage to give some sort of presentation package to Herjavec, and like it could have been a bomb for everyone to know. I mean, it was, and there's no way he's going to give that. Now, do you say, boy, that person was gutsy and that took bravado? And it's kind of stupid.
Right.
And it makes them look amateurish, and they don't want someone of their caliber and professionalism, expertise, clout in our industry, in our world.
Yep.
They're a big damn deal.
Yep.
You don't approach someone like that. You just don't do it.
I think that people want the connections to happen faster than they organically do. And so I know that, you and I are friends. We've been, friends for about a year now. I mean, longer than that on the internet. But like, if you and I ever did something together, it would probably be 5 years from now. You know what I mean? It's not going to be because I pitched you on something.
Off that far?
It would maybe next year, but it would not be because like I presented you with a package when you didn't know me. We need to take time and really cultivate that friendship, and so that you can trust me and I can trust you. Because if we do something in business together, like, hey, that's really important, and I'm not going to feel that trust unless we connect on a like human to human level first. Okay. And I think people are they want to jump to the like, let's partner up with something, and it's like, dude, I don't even know you yet. Let's just be friends. Let's go have sushi. Let's connect. Let's whatever. And I think at that point it's easier.
I just think about another incident. After you've been doing this stuff for a while, that you get a few crazies that come out. Most everyone is fantastic, but there are a few people who perhaps could use a lesson or two on social and emotional intelligence. Let's just leave it there. But like someone they said something. My very good friend John Spencer Ellis just did whatever, and they posted whatever. I'm like, I have no idea who this dude is.
Like, I didn't know we were good friends.
Like, I don't even know who you are.
Right.
But I think maybe they wanted to show their friend or something like that.
Association, right?
Yeah. I call that brand cuddling.
Oh, that's a good word.
Brand cuddling. I own that domain.
Okay.
That's the title of my upcoming book.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
No, I like that. Because there is that I see a lot of people, to me it's a little bit off-putting. If someone's not actually your friend, but you're saying, and I've seen a lot of people do this, just leverage other people's names and other people's platforms to make themselves look more credible. And here's the thing, you might know the person, but you have to ask yourself, would they feel the same way, or would they feel comfortable with this? And I think people want those relationships to happen faster than they organically do. So everyone needs to just slow their roll a little bit and start adding value to the relationship. Hey, let's do this thing together, or what are you doing? How can I offer it? Can I make an intro for you? There's a lot of things that you can do over time, and it needs to also feel like, I like this person. And if you don't, then you're probably not gonna work with them.
I wanna ask you one more question before we go to the next break here. What strategic advantage do women entrepreneurs have just in general, because they're women?
It's such a general question, so I don't want to make it a universal statement about it, but I do think that women, at least in my experience with my clients, have the gift of empathy, and I don't know that men don't have that. What I see,
they may have it, but they may not show it.
They might not show it because they just want to be the man, or they want to do whatever, and that, again, that's a generalization, but what I see from my clients is that they connect with their customers and with their clients on an emotional, like empathetic level first, and then offer service or value or solution. And so I think women, we tend to go like, hey, I understand you human to human. I get what you're going through. I've been there too. I can put myself in your shoes. And that connection allows for the transformation to happen through the tactical.
I'm thinking how men and women describe, and I'm generalizing it. We've done a lot of generalizations, and I think it's important to state that as well. And this is a huge generalization. When men and women generally write their biography on their website, men tend to do it in a linear, structured, bullet point format. Even as I'm saying it, I'm doing it like this, right? Isn't that crazy?
Here are all my
I'm so programmed, right? On the other hand, the women, often
we want to tell our story.
Yes.
We want to like tell, this is how you did that. This is how we feel, And I think honestly, awesome. When I teach women like how to connect with potential clients, like, it's not about the facts. It's about the emotions and the feelings, and how you felt when you were doing this, and now this is how you're living, and these are the feelings. I wake up and I feel this way. People connect to emotions and feelings. They don't connect to facts and figures, or credentials. I mean, you know this.
They love
your
stories.
Clients do not care about your credentials. No. They just don't.
They want you to be smart, but they don't.
Want you to be competent.
But they don't know. Competent in the ability to disseminate the message effectively, but they don't know which acronym after your name is optimal. They just want you to be able to solve their problem.
Exactly. If you can get them a result, they're going to think you're the most competent trainer on the planet, regardless of your certs and credentials.
Agreed. Yeah, you have to have the knowledge. And look, I'm someone who owns a certifying agency, and I'm telling you that you need to have them. You need to be smart. Sure. You need to be articulate, and you need to stay current. But you don't say, hi, I'm John, I have, it's like alphabet soup after my name. One guy, we used to laugh about this. this is going to be funny to go to the commercial break with this. He literally would do, he had PFT, MS, MBA, and then he became a father and he did DAD.
Oh my
it's like
God,
literally,
that's funny,
it just never ended.
Right.
It just never ended.
I don't think you need to tell someone everything they need to know about biochemistry. I think you could just get the person the results and they will think you're the best coach.
Agree. You need to understand it, but you don't always have to tell that story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
On that note, we're going to our next and final break. It's very brief. Stay with us. When we come back, Jill's going to talk about how a busy woman can stay healthy and fit and start her own business.
I love it.
Woo!
Let's do it.
Hi, my name is John Spencer Ellis, and I want to help you reach all of your personal, professional, physical, and financial goals. You have greatness within you, and sometimes you just need a coach, a trainer, and a mentor to help you realize your full potential. Since the age of 12, I have immersed myself in the study and practice of maximizing human potential, physically, mentally, personally, professionally, and financially. I believe you and I have so much to offer, to experience, and to give to the world. It's time for you to step into your brilliance and shine like you're supposed to right now. I invite you to learn how I can help you reach your goals and dreams. Thanks for your time. Welcome back to this final segment of the Entrepreneur Show. I'm John Spencer Ellis, and my guest is Jill Coleman. And in this segment, I really want to dive deep into how does a busy lady balance health, family, personal life, and the development of her entrepreneurial aspirations. That's a lot.
It is a lot. It is, it's a lot, and like my answer to that is not a popular one because, I guess it depends on what you want to create. I work with a lot of women who are moms who are maybe they were stay-at-home moms for a good amount of time, or maybe this is a second career for them, or they went through their own personal transformation. And it is kind of the law of trade-offs. You have to figure out how much time you want to spend on building this, because it's a direct correlation between how much time and energy you spend is how big the business is going to be and how fast you move. And so for someone who is, trying to juggle, it's not that it's impossible, but if you're a mother, plus you are maybe, working a full-time job and you're trying to build your online business, it's probably going to stay a hobby, unfortunately. And so one of the things I always tell my women is if you continue to treat it like a hobby, it's going to remain a hobby. And so it's not that one is better or worse, but the idea that you can multitask your way to a successful business is just not true.
Yeah, and the reality is there's a lot of demands on women that are different and sometimes far exceed the demands on men, because especially, if they're a mom, they have 1, 2, 3 children.
Yep.
That is a lot of work. It's hard for me to take care of 2 French bulldogs. I can't even imagine what that would be like. And then it's not just the time, but it's the energy, and we know as entrepreneurs there's certain things that you do throughout the day where you are in the highest use and best use of your time. Like you either had the most creative energy like late at night, or you can do the highest levels tasks, the most critical thinking early in the day. Sometimes you do more administrative tasks and when you have your slump in the middle of the day because it's not quite as challenging.
Right.
But if you're a busy mom,
You don't get that luxury.
No, you just have to kind of do it when you do it.
Yeah, one of the things that I help my women do at the beginning is just outsource all the other stuff. Because and there's a lot of guilt and shame around that. So for example, getting someone to help you cook or get someone to help you clean, as women traditionally we go like, but I don't want to give that away because that's my role. And so we deal with the mental aerobics of the guilt and the shame that comes along with that. You know what I mean? So I think, but once you offload that, you're like, why didn't I do this sooner? So I do think there's, so you have to go, what are my top 3 priorities? And other than that, what do you hate doing? What are you just not good at? And what is a complete waste of your time? And so you can make a list of just like all the things you might do in a day, and the things that are the lowest per hourly wage, those tasks, outsource them, find workarounds, or honestly, like maybe they don't get done, and that needs to be okay too.
It's so interesting how we have guilt and shame, and we all do to different degrees for different reasons at different points of our life.
Totally.
But a lot of it is programmed into us from societal norms or familial bonds and your upbringing, your programming by your related DNA,
Yeah.
also known as family.
Yep.
And some of that is good. I mean, some of the programming is good. None of the guilt is good. But I think the hardest part for people to say, it's okay if I'm breaking a family norm, if I'm not in the disservice of anyone and I'm enhancing my life and I feel better and I'm able to do more good for myself and my family now and in the future.
Sure.
Who cares what's normal, standard, and customary? Just be a good person and be fulfilled.
You know, I think it's so spot on, and a lot of people struggle with educating their family members with that mindset, because all they see is you're on social media all the time, you're not taking care of the family, you're not doing the things
They don't understand that actually is how you do it.
Exactly. They don't understand that stuff then leverages so they can take better care of their family. And it's really, as silly as sometimes it sounds, one of the biggest struggles that I see my clients having is they're worried about what family and friends think of what they're doing, even though those family and friends aren't going to be their customers. And they're like, my grandmother's on my email list. I'm like, so unsubscribe her. Like, if it's that big of a barrier.
Hate, though. That's not hate, it's misunderstanding.
No, totally. It's not hate, it's just going, I don't approve using a cuss word in your email. And it's like, well, grandma, you're actually not my customer, so unsubscribe. This isn't for you. So you have to kind of pick and choose and even have a conversation with some of your closest family members. I've had many conversations with my parents and just go like, hey, they take it as maybe it's disrespectful. And so we have to kind of iron that stuff out, and it's going to be messy at times, but you have to ask yourself, like, how many uncomfortable conversations am I willing to have for the ability to create the business that I want?
I'm going to give you an additional perspective. Not long ago, my father was in the hospital having a total knee replacement, and he and my mom were there, and actually my twin brother Mike were there as well. And I'm always the person who wants to help. I want to guide people. I want to coach. I want to mentor them and help them see the way.
Yep.
And then, and so I had to learn, and this isn't that long ago, I had to learn that for your family, you just have to let it go. Because I just know that if you just try this, like, you're going to have better health, you're going to make more money, you're going to have more time off, you're going to, like, whatever. And fundamentally, statistically, and verifiably, what I'm saying is true.
Right.
That doesn't matter if someone doesn't want it.
Right.
And it was so funny, and each of their responses were different. My dad says, and he said this very eloquently, he goes, and I told them, I said, I'm sorry for doing this, you guys, I love you, I'm just trying to help you and all this kind of stuff. And my dad says, John, some people don't give a shit. and he literally said it just like that.
And you're like,
I'm like, I can't argue with that.
No,
and my mom says, well, John, we love you, and we know you're just trying to help. And my twin brother, Mike, he goes, I don't care.
He just doesn't care.
I swear that was like exactly what they did.
Yeah.
So when you get this kind of feedback from your immediate or extended family, have you ever had an experience like that?
Yeah, I've had, like, my parents actually still don't know what I do. They're like, so how do you make money though? Like, they just literally don't know. And so they tell their friends I'm a personal trainer. Like, they don't really understand, the internet business. So, and they're also really scared about the longevity of the industry too, because it's not traditional. And so sometimes you're up against people who don't understand the new paradigm of internet business and like internet education, where I'm going like, this thing is only growing.
Oh yeah.
It's only getting bigger and bigger. In fact, and you know this.
By billions a year.
Yeah, and it's not like we're in the brick and mortar, or like we don't have to buy 1,000 t-shirts and try to sell them. It's like there's so little overhead to this business, and the ability to ebb and flow and pivot and be flexible in your business means that if something comes up, and there is a barrier, because there is, you and I have been in the industry for a long time, there's always something that comes up that you need to be able to pivot, and you can, because you can move on the fly. You don't have a brick and mortar that's going out of business because something else is coming in. It's like you get to change on the fly, and that's a really nice way to be. To me, it's so certain.
It feels unencumbered.
It does.
It's nice to have the options, and also, like you said, if something doesn't work out the way the business works right now, you're not so financially vested, usually, not always, that you can't recover from it.
Right.
But if someone opens up, down here, like one of these places down here, you have rent, or you bought the building, or you have all the utilities, staff, and all the taxes and all this stuff.
Yeah, you might actually go out of business. And I just don't think, it's not that can't happen on the internet, it's just that we have a lot more options. And if you can be, and I think you're probably the same way, like clinical with it, I don't take my failures really personally. I just go like, okay, that was a bad call, or that wasn't where the market's at right now. So I'm just gonna go, okay, what's the solution then? But early on in my career, I really took it personally, and I would get so emotionally invested, and instead of going, that was bad, I'd go, I'm bad. I shouldn't be doing this. And so at the beginning, until you have those wins, until you start seeing like, okay, this is just another obstacle, this is just another barrier, I need to kind of figure out, I like it now. I always say that it can be a pain or it can be a puzzle.
So you said, I just want to make sure I understand. I'm gonna offer a coaching moment. You said something about something could have been bad, but you were saying I am bad.
Yep.
So I actually had to come to this revelation myself. So if you say I am bad, that's at the identity level of who you are.
Sure.
That means everything you do is bad because you're a bad person, which isn't true.
Right.
Instead of saying, this thing is not optimal, this particular behavior is bad, it's kind of like saying to a kid, you're a bad kid.
Right.
That's probably not true. Instead of saying, well, Timmy, because you're a good boy, I don't understand why you did this one thing which isn't great.
Right.
So you have to, one is at the behavioral level, so the behavior needs to change. The other one is at the identity level.
Yep.
You need to make sure that the identity stays independent of the behavior. Because if you cross-contaminate those, then you start saying very disempowering things to yourself that hold you back.
Totally, and I think it's one of those things that you have to look at it like it's almost, I don't want to say it's like a game, like I'm sure you've heard of like the gamification of business, but also show yourself some compassion and be gentle with yourself, because if you're just learning business, you're not supposed to know how to do it really well yet. That's why it takes them years and years and years and of being resilient to get to the point where you can be like a Mark Cuban or someone who like can make really intelligent business decisions. It takes time. So if you're just 1 or 2 years in, like be gentle with yourself. You're learning a whole new language.
And I still have to remind myself of that as well. Yeah, because we
take risks.
We take risk every single. Being an entrepreneur, by definition, should in Webster's or Wikipedia, whatever you choose, it should say something like entrepreneur, the person who is willing to risk it all. And what does it say? Is willing to work 40 hours for them, or 80 hours a week for themselves to avoid working 40 hours a week for someone else.
Totally. Yeah, and it is, and it's. I always say that business is personal development work too, because you're going to run up on a lot of trigger moments and sensitivities and insecurities that you never would have had access to had you not tried and risked a little bit.
Every business event that I've been to is at least 65% personal development.
Totally. Yep.
And then I thought, is this important? And then I realized that is the stumbling block for most people. And sometimes it's as simple as believing what dollar amount is feasible, because then that changes your entire game plan. And that changes your revenue.
Totally. No, it's a good conversation to have. And so if you're just getting started, and like I said, I work with a lot of beginners, you have to watch out for those mindset traps. So stay aware, and instead of, like you said, identifying with it as I'm bad, just go, okay, this is a puzzle to be solved. And I think for me, getting clinical with it and taking the emotion out of it has allowed for me to keep going when I might have given up.
And that's tough to do.
Yes.
But smart.
Yeah.
All right. We have come to the end of yet another episode of the Entrepreneur Show. Jill Coleman has been my guest, and how can people learn more about you?
Yeah, I would love if people want to reach out or just connect. I'm just at Jill Fit on all the social medias. It's jillfit.com. If you guys are interested in this stuff, I would love to hear from you or just hear your story. Send me a DM.
There you go. And for you newbies out there, that means direct message. You know, at first, I've been in this industry a long time, like DM, what is, I had to Google, what is a DM? So you're not alone. You're not alone. All right, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Be well. Hi, my name is John Spencer Ellis, and I want to help you reach all of your personal, professional, physical, and financial goals. You have greatness within you, and sometimes you just need a coach, a trainer, and a mentor to help you realize your full potential. Since the age of 12, I have immersed myself in the study and practice of maximizing human potential, physically, mentally, personally, professionally, and financially. I believe you and I have so much to offer, to experience, and to give to the world. It's time for you to step into your brilliance and shine like you're supposed to right now. I invite you to learn how I can help you reach your goals and dreams. Thanks for your time.